Project 2025 will gut overtime pay protections. It's not just a policy, it's a direct assault on working class families, stripping away their financial security and forcing them into poverty. We must resist Project 2025. There's no need to exaggerate. Project 2025 is destructive. It's all in the plan, and we're breaking it down for you piece by piece because defeating Project 2025 requires actively resisting it. Stay with us for additional steps at the end of this video. Meanwhile, go to your preferred social media platform, search for Turn Left PAC, and subscribe. You have to check out our latest Resist Project 2025 videos. And speaking of Project 2025, Richard Ojeda joins me today, and we are on page 592, and it says right here, they are going after the Department of Labor. Richard, I don't have to tell you how extreme this is, do I?
No, it's actually sinister is what they're trying to do. And, when we're talking about doing away with overtime pay, they're not technically going to do away with overtime pay. What they're going to do is they're going to create a 160-hour work month instead of a 40-hour work week. So what happens is these companies, what they'll do is they'll hire multiple crews, and they'll work you not 8 hours a day. They may work you 12 hours a day. They may work you even longer than that, because at the end of the day, they know that they can work you up to 160 hours, and then they can tell you to go home. They can tell you to go home, and then they'll bring on another crew to do the same thing that you've been doing, but won't allow them to go past 160 hours as well. And, at the end of the day, 8 hours a day working in an office, you still find yourself at times not having enough time to do the things that you need to do. And what this is sinister. This is them saying, you know what, instead of ever having to pay time and a half for people, we'll create a 160-hour work month, and we'll never let anybody get more than 160 hours that month. And that's where they'll be. This is just a way for corporations to be able to work people longer hours and get away with not having to pay overtime.
And it's right here on page 592. The overtime pay threshold. The way that they phrase this, overtime pay is one of the most challenging aspects of the Fair Labor Standards Act, right? Non-exempt workers, what they're talking about, whose job duties fall within the law's power, or whose total pay is low enough, must be paid overtime, right? That's the law, 100 time and a half for every hour in a 40-hour week that they work over. Overtime pay requirements may discourage employers from offering certain fringe benefits. So they're saying that overtime pay can affect employers. Oh, how sad.
Let me tell you, and there's places like in West Virginia in non-union mines, they've already went to the 6-day work week, 12-hour shifts. And I'm going to tell you, I know lots of people that work in the coal mining industry that get literally no family time whatsoever. Oh, they get Sunday off. Yeah, they sleep almost the entire day on Sundays because, once again, sometimes they have to drive long hours in order to get to the mine. And, there's times when you'll spend a lot of time getting to the area where you're actually doing, the coal extraction. I mean, you may find yourself on a belt, on a little train track going in for hours. I don't even know if that even counts. But I do know that you've got people that are already thrown the whole 40-hour work week out the window. And they can get away with that by basically, when you go to places like southern West Virginia and eastern Kentucky, and you can say, well, if you don't like the way we do it here, go elsewhere. But if you want to go elsewhere, you got to drive another 3 hours to another mine. It basically doesn't allow people to have the ability to basically say anything at all, or they risk losing their jobs. And that's what's going to happen here by giving the 160-hour work month to employers that will work you 160 hours, and they'll do it. They'll fit 160 hours in 2 weeks or 3 weeks tops. and you'll stay home for one whole solid week, and that's it. But once again, you're never going to see overtime pay. You're just going to get paid the hourly wage that they give you, and they'll just never ever work you past 160 hours. So it's really I mean, at the end of the day, I guess you could go get another job for that 1 week a month. But once again, this is people that don't care that you don't get family time. They don't care that you don't have the opportunity to spend time with your children. They don't care, because to them, what they see is the ultimate end state, which is a dollar amount, and that's all they care about. And they will work you long hours without overtime pay as long as they can get away with it. And that's exactly what they're about to do with Project 2025.
So folks are going to be working more hours and less pay and no family time. This is going to force families into financial instability. Like you were talking about, well, what are they going to do? Pick up another job at the end of the month? It sounds like that's going to force a lot of folks into some pretty severe situations.
Let me tell you, let's look at the Communication Workers of America, CWA, phenomenal union, great guys. I've got family members that work in CWA, and, understand that literally the reason why a lot of people that work in the Communication Workers of America industry is because they do get opportunities to work overtime. You've got a lot of people out there that, like linemen, that, when there's storms and things like that, those guys go and they literally spend days at a time working, almost literally 18-hour days, getting a little bit of sleep and getting back at it again, because they gotta get everybody back to connection with power and those things like there. Let me tell you something. What this will do is this will take away their overtime. And I'm going to tell you, overtime is needed in a lot of jobs out there, because once again, when the employers don't hire as many people and when they don't pay as much as they should, it's things like overtime is what keeps them on the job. So if you take overtime pay away from the Communication Workers of America, you're going to see a lot of them looking for another job. And if that happens, if it happens to the linemen that are the ones out here that, show up when there's a storm to get everybody reconnected, whenever you start to do that, you're not going to see anybody working on those jobs. Why would you go work on a job where they're going to work you long hours, but they're not going to pay you overtime? Because let me tell you something, the overtime is what makes you say, yep, you know what? If I do my job and I can count on this much overtime, I absolutely can handle business. I can pay my bills. I can put food on the table. I can put clothing on my kids' backs, and we can actually have a decent life. And what's sad is that that's what everybody's looking for in this country these days, just a decent living. They just don't want to be at the bottom. They just don't want to have to struggle. They just want a decent living, to be able to go from the first of the month to the last of the month and not have to eke out a living. And, with this right here, this is attacking the ability for them to not have to struggle.
Absolutely. It's just making folks who are at the lower economic groups suffer more. I mean, folks are already having to work nonstop and to get this overtime. So they're going to take it away. This is going to widen the gap between the rich and the poor. And it sure seems like that's exactly what they want to do in the long run. Not only that, with folks making less pay, I mean, the natural consequence of that is going to overburden public assistance programs. Folks are not going to be able to make ends meet. And will the charity be there? Will the food stamps be there? Will it be enough for everybody? Being that they seem that they want to cut that too.
Well, if we're talking about Project 2025 and how sinister it is, Project 2025 doesn't care about poor people. That's not what this is. This is not at all. This whole plan about the 160-hour work month has nothing to do with helping the average worker in America. Not at all. This is all about allowing the filthy, filthy rich in this country, the corporation owners, to be able to say, hey, look, man, now we don't even have to pay overtime ever again. We can just work everybody. We can just hire more people, pay them less, work them longer hours, and they're never going to be able to get their head above the water. But me, as the corporate owner, the corporate boss, why, I'm going to absolutely rake it in. And that's how it goes. And that's what this is about. And oh, by the way, you're talking about programs like food stamps. We're talking about those programs. Let me tell you something. Do you honestly think that these people that wrote Project 2025 care about people that are struggling in this country?
Hell no.
Because they don't. No, they don't care at all. They could care less. They don't care if people starve to death. And that's the thing, is that, it amazes me how they have been so successful in duping so many people in this country.
That's it.
And yeah, but I also, this is why they've been attacking public education for the last 5 decades. The things that Ronald Reagan put into place, like doing away with the fairness doctrine, is the reason why we are in this situation today. But make no mistake about it, Project 2025 is sinister. It's sinister to the working class. This right here alone is an absolute target on the back of everybody who gets up every morning, puts on their work clothes, and goes to feed their family and pay their bills. And this is an absolute attack on them. And if people don't wake up, if people don't pay attention to what Project 2025 is, it's going to secretly come up and bite you in the backside. And that's it. You may not realize because you're not paying attention, because you've heard people say, oh, Donald Trump don't have nothing to do with that. So you automatically assume that Project 2025 is a hoax. It's a lie. But the truth is that's not truth. The truth is that it is absolutely put in place to do severe damage to our country. I was just talking about the continuity. Continuity is maintaining the information that you have throughout time, throughout operations. And if you want to get rid of all of the people in America in government jobs that are not Trump sycophants, you're going to lose the continuity. Do you think somebody who knows they're going to be fired because they're not a Trumpaloon, do you think that person's going to sit down and teach that Trumpaloon exactly how to do the job?
Hell
we
no.
will see mass just issues across this country when things like your retirement checks don't show up on time, when all these different type programs that used to be in operation to help people disappear. It's going to affect the people at the middle class and below more than anything, and it's not going to be in a good way. That's why it's important that we do shows like this. That's why it's most important for people that watch this to share this, because make no mistake about it, Project 2025 is downright sinister. It's evil, and the people that wrote it are evil people that do not care about you. They don't care about you because you're poor. They don't care about you because of how you pray. They don't care about you because of who you love. They don't care about you about without the color of your skin, unless it's lily white, and that's all they care about.
This isn't just about numbers. This is a calculated move to destabilize working families. But what's even more alarming is how Project 2025 could push families to the brink, relying on food banks just to survive. We'll uncover that grim reality right after the break.
When I ran for Congress, we flipped more Trump voters blue than any other congressional race in the country. We did this by calling out the GOP's lies and speaking truth against their $1 million attack ads. I've now partnered with Turn Left, and we're taking the fight to the extremists like Marge the Trainwreck Green, Ted Cruz, and Josh Hawley, to name a few. And I'm asking each and every one of you all to donate $25 today to the group that is absolutely helping to send these jackaloons packing. It's time to speak truth to power and turn left.
Without overtime pay, families will be forced to turn to food banks, not as a temporary solution, but as a necessity for survival. Richard, how do you think that this policy is going to increase a reliance on food banks and these social safety nets?
I mean, we are already in a situation where we have a lot of people that are struggling. We know that we've got corporations that have been caught price gouging. Kroger's just admitted that it's been jacking up prices on things like eggs and the necessities, baby formula, stuff like that. I mean, it's absolutely sinister. And people that are at that level, understand that when, we've got people that literally, if they get a little bit of a boost, it could take them to a different world, a world that they've never seen that's better for them and their family. And that's what they're striving for right now. And what this could do it could cut the legs out from under them. And, I'm going to tell you, I know of places that literally almost a large percentage of the people within the county requires food bank assistance. And I'm telling you, I've been to these food banks on the days of distribution, and the parking lot is filled. There's a line around the corner, and I'm going to tell you, it's tough when you see people in America that have to rely on those type of things, especially in places look at McDowell County in West Virginia. Back in the early 1900s, there was more millionaires that lived in that county than in the rich areas of California. They are the people that worked in the coal mines that created the steel that built this nation. And now, because of, the coal drying up, because of corruption, because of things like that, everybody has fled that county, and there's no opportunities. I mean, Walmart came in, and all the small mom and pop stores were run out of business. And then Walmart quit and left. And now there's nothing for a lot of those people. And the food bank is literally the necessity that they have to have. And we can see these popping up all over the place because they're going to be in great need. And folks, if you've got to see food banks created in every single community across this country, we're not on the right path. We are not on the right path. And once again, does Project 2025 talk about elevating the people in poverty? No, it doesn't, because that's not their goal. Their goal is to make filthy rich people even more filthy rich. And that's as good as it gets.
Their goal of Project 2025 is designed to keep people trapped in a survival mode.
Yep.
Folks who are out here working hard, trying to make ends meet, and then that just widen that gap.
Yeah, and understand there's also some sinister part that they want to replace, 80,000 government workers with Trump sycophants. I mean, do you realize the only way you're going to be able to keep your job as if you take an oath to Donald Trump, if you sign a waiver? I mean, I don't know about you, but I spent 24 years in the military to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I didn't do that for Donald Trump or to Donald Trump. And, for all we know, I mean, you're talking about a person, and we're talking about people that, have all read Mein Kampf multiple times. And I believe that, this is the type of mentality that they want to basically place over top of this country. And we can't let that happen. That's why people have got to pay attention to Project 2025. And you've got to realize that Project 2025 is Agenda 47. And it is the first 160 days. They can keep giving it whatever name they want to give it, but it's the same thing. It's people that were a part of Donald Trump's administration. Literally 40 of the very 44 people in his administration all basically wrote this Project 2025. And they wrote it in a way to where, if you don't follow the way they want you to follow, there's going to be repercussions for you. I mean, when you look at the RNC versus the DNC, at the RNC, everybody was holding up signs that said mass deportation now. But at the DNC, you had people that were holding up signs that said USA. I'm going to stick with USA. I think that it's absolutely a travesty that we have people that come to this country because they just want a better life. And they're literally being attacked because they just happen to be born on the opposite side of the fence. And then we got people that were born on our side of the fence that literally don't deserve. They would never put in the work that those people have put in to try to come to America. They wouldn't walk nowhere near, not even a third a fifth, even a percentage of the miles that these people have walked in order to potentially be able to come into this country and give their family a better life. And those are the people that are some of the people that penned this Project 2025.
You know, when we look at who the people are that are going to be the most affected by Project 2025, they're everyday Americans. There are neighbors, there are friends, there are coworkers, there are family members. And yet we have people who are still running around in the community, go Trump, you know?
And let's also state that, you know, you and I, John, we're a little lucky. We're a little lucky because of the color of our skin. Project 2025 is going to be absolutely damaging to Hispanics, to Latinos, and to people that are black. That's a fact. You know, when you've got Donald Trump wanting to basically give police officers complete immunity. I mean, my goodness gracious, we already have a problem with police brutality in this country, especially with people of color. And now you're wanting to give them complete immunity? I mean, literally, this could not be any worse. Project 2025 is absolutely, it is dangerous. It is hazardous to your health. It is sinister. And if people do not wake up and stand against Project 2025, you may risk falling into it.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you something. There's not going to be no soft landing if you do.
Project 2025 is designed to keep folks trapped in survival. If you thought the loss of overtime pay was devastating, wait until you see how Project 2025 plans to strip away family time, the very thing that holds us together. But is this really a conservative approach? That's the question we'll tackle next.
Today, we have an amazing show for you. Join myself, special guests, and celebrities.
What's going on, Ice-T? Andrew Yang.
Somebody else was hopping on. Oh, hold on.
What's going on, Battle?
As we roast GQP Jackaloons.
He may not be a real businessman, but he is one hell of a con artist.
That's what it is. That's what they got indicted for. Treason and sedition.
And addresses the headlines of the day.
They must be held accountable.
Live streaming every night.
I got more time in a friggin' port in a friggin' combat zone than you probably got in the military.
This is Ojeda Live.
Project 2025 isn't just about cutting paychecks. It is about cutting the fabric of the family life. When workers lose overtime pay, they're forced into working multiple jobs or taking on exhausting hours just to survive. This means less time with family, less time to rest, less time to live. Richard, let's talk about the effect of society. What is this going to do to our communities?
Let me tell you, John, you mentioned basically being in survival mode. Let me tell you, that's what they want. Because a person that is survival mode, if you know that you can't take your eye off of your job, you have to understand that you can't stand up for yourself. That's what they want. They want you to have to work as much as you can. And fear that you can't work as much as you can. They want you to fear that you can't work that 12-hour shift every single day of the week. You know, because if you are at that point, they know that you don't have the time. You don't have the time to stand up against them. If they work you 12-hour shifts 6 days a week, you don't have time to fight back. And that's what they want. They want to silence you, so they can get away with basically robbing you. And it's not just money. They're robbing you from family time.
Absolutely.
You know, and let me tell you something. As a person who's a family man, a person who's got children, I will tell you, you know, one of the reasons why I made the decision to retire from the military is I had spent literally 6 of the last 10 years on foreign soil deployed or stationed in Korea or in other locations. And I realized that I had lost so much of my family time and I needed to retire in order to be able to salvage what little bit of time I had left with my kids. And that's what I did. And once again, they want people to not be able to do that.
Project 2025 will weaken communities and fracture family units. Not to mention the higher stress levels leading to long-term health issues. It's not just about money. It's about tearing apart the bonds that hold our society together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about it. And like I said, I talk about the coal mines in West Virginia that have now pretty much every one of them has pretty much went to 6 days a week, 12-hour shifts. Now, once again, coal miners, they make pretty good money to be able to do that. But what do they miss? They miss their family time. And once your child is grown, that's it. I have 3 adult children, and I'm very proud of them. But I will tell you, as a person who also found out that one of my adult children existed only a couple years ago due to an ancestry.com, I will forever be angered at myself for not knowing and missing 27 years of her life. But my other 2 children, I still missed a lot of time with them as well. I have to say that I'm blessed that I had such a strong wife that raised our kids that I knew was doing the right thing. But yeah, I missed out a lot of family time.
Indeed. Well, Richard, we thank you for coming on the show. We thank you for your service. We thank you for what you've done for your country and the example that you put forward for other folks to follow. We've seen the damage Project 2025 will cause, destroying families, communities, and our very way of life. But here's the truth. We're not powerless. And there are steps that you can take right now to fight back. Visit turnleftpac.org. Sign up for our emails and get your template letter to send to representatives in Congress and let them know that you won't support anyone who doesn't protect workers' rights. Project 2025 isn't just dismantling financial security, it's dismantling the American family. Share this video, tag someone who needs to hear the truth, like and subscribe, and stay tuned next for Ojeda Live.